So you're thinking of moving to Seattle, Washington. Should you rent or should you buy?
And if you're waiting to buy a home until the market collapses, I will probably be dead before you ever try to
Pack a
contact.
lunch. In this video, we're going to talk about renting versus buying, the pros and the cons, everything about it. So stay tuned. Alright, so in this video, we're going to discuss the pros and the cons of renting versus buying in Seattle, Washington. But make sure you stay tuned to the very end to find out just how much or how little you need to buy a house in Seattle, Washington. But this is Jackson Ray Wilkey with the Real Agent Now Group right here in Seattle, Washington. If this is your first time to this channel, you want to know everything about working, eating, sleeping, renting, and buying in Seattle, Washington, then start now by subscribing to this channel. Tap that little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. And honestly, we are getting so many phone calls about renting and buying, but everything else, and we absolutely love it. If you're even thinking about moving or relocating here to Seattle, Washington, make sure you give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even send us the Seahawk. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when moving to Seattle, Washington. All right, so in this video, we do get so many phone calls, and we love it, but we're getting the calls of should I rent, should I buy? We're going to go through all of the situations when it comes to kind of renting versus buying here. And the very first thing that we want to cover is, let's say you just want to rent. You're definitely not down to buy anything. Renting is your thing. Jesse, first and foremost, personally, can we help them find a rental?
No, we cannot help them find a rental. The reason why is, and actually no real estate agents can help them find a rental. And the reason why is because no rentals here are listed through the MLS, which is a cooperating system that allows agents to work with other agents. And since none of the listings are listed through the MLS, there's really no fiduciary duty that the owner, the landlord, has to the agent. Therefore, almost 100% of all the rentals are going to be listed on Craigslist or any of the rent.com, apartment.com platforms. So definitely, if you're looking to rent and that's all you want to do, I would definitely start there and move forward through that path.
Yeah, so we do get the question a lot, like, hey, Jesse, Jackson, like, we're moving there. We're not quite sure if we want to buy right away. Maybe we'll rent for a little bit. Like, is that an option for these people just to maybe do a short-term rental while they figure out the area and find the place?
Yeah, 100%. There's definitely a lot of great options, and especially now that there's so many short-term rental agencies out there and companies such as like VRBO, Airbnb, Vacasa, iTrip. There are, and everyone knows about Airbnb. So therefore, you can go onto the website, look and see what they have set up as far as, if they want to rent for 1 month. But the one thing I will say is that almost every single tenant or landlord on Airbnb is negotiable on their timeline. So if you needed to have, a place to stay for 2 months, just contact them directly and see if you guys can negotiate a rate. So therefore, if you're moving out here, you just put your stuff in a storage container, have it shipped out, and then you can stay in the Airbnb while you find your perfect home. Or if you just need a couple places or a couple months to stay until your home gets built, that's definitely a great viable option that a lot of people are doing.
Now, let's just kind of talk about like the process of renting versus buying. If you're not quite sure, is it, should somebody really consider spending that money renting, versus buying?
It really depends what their lifestyle is. Like I think that no matter what, everyone has a different situation. So one, it's really just understanding, where they are. Maybe they had an uncle that made some bad investments 35 years ago and got taken, and now like buying a house is the absolute mortal enemy. So I mean, it's really just I have to really understand their scenario. A lot of people hear like different influencers online talking about why it's better to rent versus buy. The thing personally, like I love building wealth through real estate, and a lot of my clients do too. And I think a lot of people get bad information of how maybe they could turn their current house that they own into a rental and build wealth through that avenue. So I think it's just taking the right person, relaying the right information to the right person, because people don't realize that there are options out there. Maybe it's a 0% down loan or 3% or 5%. And there are appraisals that have to be done on the home, so if you're going to get your loan is going to be valuable. whether, or if you're overpaying. The thing that, we definitely do not let our clients overpay for houses or buy houses that come in unappraised or undervalue on the appraisal. We renegotiate those terms. So, there's just so many different things that are situational that we really just need to understand.
Do me a favor, if you're loving these videos we're doing, would you please hit that like button? It really helps our videos out. And don't forget to subscribe. Okay, I hear this literally from so many people, Jesse, and maybe you're here to debunk this. I just don't have enough money for the down payment. I don't have enough money to buy a house right now. What can you, provide to these people with that question in mind?
Yeah, it's so funny because I seriously still hear the widest range of how much people need to, for a down payment. So realistically, it's all situational. But say you had, a 740 credit score and you don't own any other houses, you're a first-time home buyer. We can get you into a first-time home buyers program for 3% down. I
Yeah.
can say that with confidence. You know, almost, I'd say 90% of our loans are done between the 5 and 10% down range. We're even getting investors buying secondary homes at 10% down. So typically an investment property that isn't your secondary home or vacation home is usually 20 to 25% down. But no, we're getting them done at 10%, and people are able to use their cash and other ways to build more wealth. Because I'm a 100% believer in keeping as many liquid assets in your bank account as possible and being more liquid than anything. Because if something were to ever happen, you definitely want to have that cash available to spend at your leisure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, those are the questions we, continue to get and we constantly get. But that's our job, guys. Like we're here to help you, make those decisions here in the Portland Metro. You never know if it's the perfect time, for you to buy, but we all need shelter. And if you don't want to, take that money and basically throw it out the window paying rent, and to give you a quick snapshot of the rental market, it's tough here. You're going to be paying just as much or more to rent, and you get none of that money down on your equity. All right, so another question that we get all the time is that, should I be buying now? Are we at the absolute peak of the market? Talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, so I get this question every single week. It doesn't matter where I'm at. People, especially of the millennial age or even the generation that I'm in, is that the only recession that we ever remembered was the one that took the equity out of everyone's house. The problem with the recession that happened back then was that, that was a huge financial collapse, and the housing market was just propped up on bad loans, and the government was doing, not the government, but the banks were doing very bad things. So basically, they were giving loans out to people that couldn't even qualify for loans, and everyone was basically using money to leverage more money, and it was basically just a bunch of fake money just sitting out there. And the thing that has completely changed, and what recession typically means, is recession just means that the economy isn't producing or isn't growing like it has been growing. It's in negative trends versus positive trends. It doesn't mean that the equity in your home is going to be wiped out. So right now our market is extremely stable. We're still growing in value of homes in anywhere between the 1 and 5% range. Inventory is very low, so we're still in a seller's market. However, the time on market's a little bit longer, so we're able to get our buyers a really good deal, and interest rates are really low. So therefore, it's kind of like that best case scenario for a borrower at the specific time. And if you look at the home values between today and when the market was at its peak back in like 2007, 2008, before it actually collapsed, we're actually 20% higher. And so our market is fully rebounded and actually has completely taken off in an upward tick towards the value increase again. So whenever the buyer is ready to buy is when I think is the best time to buy. And I definitely knew that our market was in a financial crisis back in the day because my family was heavily invested into real estate, and I was seeing people get loans that didn't even have a job, and they were getting
Fog
loans
this
for,
mirror.
yeah, $300 to $400,000 loans that didn't even have a job. So there was tons of predatory lending. All that has gone by the wayside. Everything is stabilized. It's extremely safe. And if you're waiting to buy a home until the market collapses, I will probably be dead before you ever try to
Pack a
contact.
lunch. Yeah. So a quick recap on that. What he's saying is, yes, we do go through these recessions. They say on average about 12 years. But each recession in the past, not including the '07 crash, was never, it never affected the housing market as the '07 one did because of the predatory lending. But other recessions, actually, home prices have, typically gradually went up. So we get it all the time. I'm waiting for this giant crash and I'm gonna buy low. Like that was a once in a lifetime thing. And if you're in the millennial generation, in the 30s like us, like we were in our teens and we saw it happen to our family and our friends, and so it really hits us hard here. But if you date it back and you actually look at the history, yeah, the housing market never was really truly affected as badly as the '07 crash. All right, Jesse. So we just talked about, you only need 3 to 5% is really typical here, but let's talk about like credit scores, where they can range and if they can get into a house with credit score.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like we've seen them, people get homes that have had credit scores as low as 550. It's best to get you at the 600. Is a pretty good, I wouldn't say a great credit score, but it's one that would definitely work a lot more favorable to the borrower. And obviously the better the credit score, the better interest rate you're going to get. So the one thing that we do is we also work with our partner lender to get your credit in the best position possible. And say you're a year out, we can put benchmarks in place and milestones to get your credit boosted up. It might even be making one small little tweak that takes you from, say, like a 660 up to a 700, but it only takes like a month or two to make that happen. And it can save you a significant amount of money over the course of, say, 10 to 30 years. The average home buyer is in their house for 30 years. They're only in there for anywhere between 7 and 10 years. So everyone always talks about like the 30-year mark, saving this much money over 30 years. I look at it, over 10 years. But definitely getting the best credit score up is better. It's more favorable in the buyer's scenario. The credit score is also going to be dependent on, or also going to factor into like what kind of loan you can get, whether it's FHA or conventional. Conventional is going to be a lot less hurdles to jump through than an FHA, and the rates are typically pretty similar. But VA loans are phenomenal as well. We absolutely love VA loans. We've done so many VAs this year, and they're actually one of the best loans products to work with. So.
Yep. Again, that's what we help with. We get those questions all the time. So a lot of people are fearful to, even start that conversation with a lender, because you're going to get trapped with, having to do something. It's not. Literally, we tell people to call our preferred lender. They have those simple conversations about how to improve credit, just how much they need or how little they need down. And they literally call us afterwards, like thanking us to the moon and back because it just simplified everything for them. It made them feel so much more confident. And that is what we do here, and we absolutely love it. If you're even thinking about moving to Seattle, Washington, and you have any of these questions, anything at all, make sure you give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even send us the Seahawk. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when moving to Seattle, Washington. And if this is your first time to this channel, you want to know everything about Seattle, Washington, then start now by subscribing to this channel. Tap that little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. And until that next video, we'll catch you later.